And now we're delighted to be joined on Trailblazers by Nikhil, King Cobra of digital marketing at IndiGo.
Thank you, Jasper.
You've injected a kind of festive note into our show with your Christmassy attire, so it's very timely. But let's start you off in kind of a similar place to where we ended with Ashish, which is the kind of physical and digital. I mean, there ain't nothing more physical than flying on an airline.
Which is true.
Right? How do you think about digital in that environment?
So I think digital for us is sort of a fundamental enabler for everything we do. So we are not looking at digital as separate. I think even flying, every physical aspect, we're trying to sort of either improve our customer experience through digital, empower our employees by giving them assets which they can help to do their job better, or just make everyone's life easy. So we are looking at digital as a foundation for everything we do. That's the whole way that we look at.
I see. So it's different threads in a single
Yes.
in a single strand fundamentally. But
Yeah.
let's get into the social media side, right? I mean, Jitu and I were having this conversation before that these days, particularly on certain channels, if you don't entertain, no one's interested. But you're in a very functional environment, particularly IndiGo, with its on-time promises, it's all that stuff. How do you entertain?
No, I think it's very interesting. I think for us, engagement it's not equivalent to entertainment. But I think what we do differently is that we want to sort of tell people how do we deliver on our core promises. So we have 4 core promises. We swear and live by them at all our channels. One is affordability. The second is on-time performance, making customers' experience hassle-free and courteous, and our unparalleled network.
But how do you make being on time fun on social media? I mean, I hear what you're saying about entertainment versus engagement, but if I get an Instagram post that says you're on time again, I don't, great.
So how do we do it is we sort of try to humanize it. So we show you the behind the scenes of how do we make sure that it's on time. So for example, when we talk about our unparalleled network, we just don't showcase montage of cities. We have just started doing something which we call as 60 tours. What we did, we took one cabin crew of a town and we took her to that town and she showcased the town to the entire world. So this way now we have done 25 cities. We'll continue to do more and more cities. We have another series which is called How to Become a Pilot. It's called License to Fly. So we do all of that stuff so that people know what is the back side of it.
Well, it's very clever, and actually listening to you realise that in the analog age, that kind of BTS or under the hood is almost impossible, right?
Yeah.
And you're making a dry topic interesting.
Yes, and it does really well for us. And people actually want to know what happens at the back side of it, rather than the functional side of it, which everyone experiences any day.
Okay, pointed question, right? So you and everybody else in the airline industry has latched onto the idea that you have to engage, right? But why is IndiGo any better or worse at it than the Spice Walla or the Tata guys or United or whoever?
See, I think we very strongly feel two reasons. I think our brand in itself stands out because of how we have built this brand. So its brand is very much built on a tone of voice, consistency and simplicity. I think that really helps when we distinguish. And also what we have done is we have put really strict rules for ourselves, right? We won't do anything which, because there is a trend, we want to do it. We really don't want to put our aircraft on our social media. That's a very strict rule that we have tried to put, to say, how do you really engage customers without showing your product? So when we do all of this, it sort of creates new ideas, creativity, which is, as I said, it led into ideas like License to Fly, 60 tours, all of this new thing, which helps us differentiate significantly from any other brand. Okay,
if you're the witness and I'm the judge, let's put this to the jury. So, Jitu, are IndiGo as a brand, you have tons of clients to do that. What's your view on how IndiGo comes across from a social media perspective, if you have one?
So for me, if you look at IndiGo, it's pretty consistent with what Nikhil is saying. IndiGo is not a brand that is built or promised something and then built backwards. It's actually delivered first. It's a classic thing of what they tell us in service branding: under promise, over deliver. And pretty much the social media is little smart, little witty. It's the personality of a brand that I fly. And it's the same language that I see on their tiffin box or on the menu. And therefore, I see it a fairly consistent brand that I see in the digital world and in experience the same in the physical world.
Yeah, and I agree with all that, and it's interesting, Nikhil, because do you think, I mean, both yourself in terms of your own demographic versus the old man sitting here, and IndiGo, 17 years old, do you think being a brand that's grown up in the digital age and not before, do you think that's helped you?
I definitely think so. I think one of the most important thing that it has helped is on the mindset. I think that really helps because we are a digital native brand in a sense. The mindset was always that way. So at least we didn't have any legacy, etc. So that is one of the most important things. Having said that, the world of digital is evolving every day almost. So that we have to continue to be at pace with it. But the fact that the organization's mindset is tuned to that really helps, because then you're able to innovate much faster because people are tuned to it. They understand that.
Okay, but before we get on to talk about the vast universe of customers that you have, because you're effectively a bellwether for India, but when do you not use social media? When is it verboten to use social media?
Honestly, I think a lot of times we prefer not to latch on to trends, etc. I think moment marketing is something which we don't prefer to do unless it's very much on point with a brand. So we just don't want to do something which everyone is doing. So that is one very important sort of a thing that we sort of put on social media. Second thing, we don't want to create content just for sake of creating content. So we believe in quality over quantity. So that's something that we very, very strongly follow.
So there's kind of, I mean, we've heard this from a few people, there's a bit of sort of less is more and staying in your guide rails. You guys are big into soccer, right? Into football. Why is that? Why is that a moment?
So I
it's
think
not just a moment. But.
Yeah, so I think we have recently done that. We have sort of tied up with the Indian Football Association. The whole idea was, we have seen cricket. I think we as IndiGo believe, we have grown in the last 17 years. India has grown along with us in the last 17 years. Very strongly believe it's time for soccer in India. And we want to partner with them for the next, whatever, couple of years to take them there. And this is all part of our India by IndiGo strategy, where we want to partner with right players with whom we believe it can help really grow India in future.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting because metaphorically you've sort of grown up, right? Yes. And that thing is growing up, and maybe you can give a helping hand to the football industry. We're coming into the home straight, Nikhil. These customers, how do you even begin to engage the vast? I mean, we've all flown on IndiGo Airlines. The diversity of person you can sit next to is mind-blowing.
Which is true. So, Jasper, as I said, I think we still very strongly believe in consistency. We also believe that while we cater to a very, very vast demographic, we necessarily don't need to talk to everyone. The idea continues to be that we want to talk to the smartest 10% people across the demography, because those are the ones who will.
What does that mean? What does that mean? People might bridle at that and say, I'm now worried I'm not in the 10%.
No. So not in that way. I think it's primarily what we are saying is we very strongly feel that it's not tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 sort of a market. Every market has a cohort of people who can afford air travel, who are in that strata, who want to move forward, who believe they want to go out of their town for education, for trade, etc., etc. So we don't want to say this is a metro people, this is a non-metro people. We feel across the India there is that percentage. We want to talk to them. We want to consistently make them believe that along with us, your aspirational will get, and we want to give wings to them.
Okay, so again, you kind of know your limits. I'm gonna finish this off with some quick fire questions. Metaverse, good or bad?
I think we still don't have a use case, so it's too early to say.
Fake news, problem or not a problem?
Massive problem.
Identity, is that a real thing on the internet or not?
Not yet, but I think at least organizations are trying that. So hopefully that will get solved, because it's important.
And last question, do you have more LinkedIn followers than Ashish?
I think I have 10,000, so at this point of time.
Ashish, we're establishing the pecking order. I think I'm firmly at the bottom, but we'll see if G2 or Lalatendra can dethrone the current LinkedIn champ. Nikhil, you've been a fantastic guest. Thank you for coming on Trailblazers.
Thank you.